Oh, there you are. Don't move. You hear it, don't you? Your name, floating through the air like a blade wrapped in silk. They're calling you, soft at first, casual, almost flattering, like applause warming up before the show. But this isn't applause, it's alignment. You think they're praising you. You think you've finally been seen. You think the universe just opened a golden door and whispered, "Come forward, chosen one." No, they're calling your name because you disrupted the balance. You weren't supposed to glow like that. You weren't supposed to survive that. You weren't supposed to evolve that fast. And now they're trying to figure out what you are. Are you the saint who forgives, or the psychopath who remembers? That's what terrifies them. You carry both. You walk into rooms with light in your eyes and blood in your memory. You smile like an angel and calculate like a demon. You forgive, but you never forget the architecture of betrayal. You love deeply, but once the line is crossed, you don't beg. You transform. They're calling your name because they can't categorize you, and people fear what they can't predict. You were quiet once, harmless once, easy to overlook. They stepped over you, they laughed around you, they dismissed you like background noise. But pain did something strange to you. Pain didn't break you, it studied you. While they were celebrating, you were dissecting your own weaknesses. While they were gossiping, you were mutating. Every insult was a blueprint. Every humiliation was a lab experiment. Every rejection was evolution forcing new muscle onto your spirit. They thought suffering would shrink you. It refined you. Now they're calling your name because something shifted. The air changes when you enter. The tone drops. The smiles tighten. The whispers multiply. They don't clap anymore. They monitor. And here's the delicious paradox. They're calling you closer because they're afraid of you from a distance. They want to measure you, test you, control the narrative before it spirals. They'll say it's an opportunity. They'll say it's recognition. They'll say you've earned it. But look at their eyes. There's calculation behind the compliment. They're not praising you. They're assessing the threat. You see, the world loves a wounded saint. It can manage that. It can market that. It can keep that soft and obedient. But a healed monster? That's dangerous. A person who has felt the abyss and decided to build a throne in it? Unacceptable. They liked you better when you doubted yourself. When you apologized for your intensity. When you dimmed your instincts to make weaker souls comfortable. Now you've stopped apologizing. Now you speak slower. Now you look people in the eyes without blinking. Now you don't react, you respond. That restraint, that's what scares them. Because unpredictability is power. When they can't predict your reaction, they can't manipulate it. When they can't read your emotional temperature, they can't steer you. When you stop exploding and start observing, you become something primal. A storm that doesn't announce itself. They're calling your name because they're trying to bait a reaction. Will you get nervous? Will you get defensive? Will you get desperate for approval? Or will you smile and let the silence stretch? Here's the truth you don't want to admit. Part of you enjoys this. Part of you likes that they're uneasy. Because for once, the power dynamic shifted. For once, you're not chasing validation, you're radiating presence. And presence is louder than praise. They're calling your name because you walked through hell and came back fluent in both languages, light and dark. You know how to be kind, but you also know how to detach. You know how to love, but you also know how to leave. That duality makes you untouchable. An angel who understands demons is far more dangerous than a demon pretending to be holy. You've stopped trying to prove you're good. Now you're focused on being effective. And effectiveness doesn't beg for permission. It adapts. It evolves. It strikes when necessary. They're calling your name because the version of you they thought they understood is dead. You buried it quietly. No funeral. No announcement. Just growth so violent, it felt like betrayal to your former self. And growth like that threatens people who are still negotiating with their fears. You don't negotiate anymore. You decide. That's the shift. You used to hope they'd choose you. Now they hope you don't choose them. Let that sink in. The tables didn't turn. You flipped them. And now they're scrambling to recalibrate. They'll test your ego. They'll provoke your temper. They'll try to lure you back into the emotional cage you escaped from. Because if they can make you reactive again, they win. But you've learned something sacred. Silence is dominance. Control is charisma. Detachment is armor. You don't need to shout to command the room anymore. Your restraint does the talking. Your composure suffocates their chaos. They're calling your name because they sense the predator in your patience. And here's the darkest part. You didn't become this way by choice. You became this way because you were pushed, mocked, overlooked, underestimated. Pain carved intelligence into your bones. Betrayal sharpened your perception. Loneliness taught you self-reliance. So deep it feels supernatural. You don't panic the way you used to. You calculate. You don't cry the way you used to. You analyze. You don't chase the way you used to. You attract. That evolution? It's intoxicating. They feel it. That's why your name is echoing in rooms you've never entered. They're trying to decode you. But you're no longer operating from survival. You're operating from awareness. And awareness makes you unpredictable. Are you the saint? Yes. Are you the psychopath? Also yes, that's the secret. You are both mercy and consequence, both warmth and winter, both invitation and warning. They're calling your name because they sense you've integrated the shadow they're still running from. You're not pretending to be pure. You're integrated, and integration is power. So when they call you forward, don't shrink. Don't over-explain. Don't soften your edges to make insecure minds comfortable. Stand there, calm, measured, unapologetic. Let them wonder which side of you they're about to meet. Because that uncertainty, that tension, that quiet, controlled intensity, it's more addictive than applause. They thought they were summoning you to judge you. They don't realize they just gave you the stage. And you don't perform anymore. You dominate. They're calling your name. Not to praise you, not to elevate you, but to test whether the fire inside you is controllable. Let them find out the hard way. You are no longer the version of yourself that needed approval. You are the paradox they can't predict. And unpredictability, that's the most dangerous thing in the room. Lower your pulse. Don't let your breathing betray you. They're still saying your name, and you can feel the weight behind it now. It's heavier, slower, deliberate, like a judge tapping a gavel made of velvet. You used to crave that sound, your name, spoken with attention. You used to lean toward it like a starving animal hearing a food bowl hit the floor. Now you listen differently. Now you hear tone over words, intention over language, strategy over smiles. Because evolution through pain rewired you. They think they're summoning the old you, the eager one, the grateful one, the one who would step forward with nervous gratitude and say, "Thank you for noticing me." But that version burned, and what rose from the ashes doesn't beg. It evaluates. You understand something most people never will. praise and threat sound identical at first. They both start with your name. They both come wrapped in warmth. They both feel like opportunity, but one feeds you, the other studies you, and you can feel which is which now. Your nervous system doesn't flutter anymore. It scans. That's what trauma did to you. It sharpened your senses. It turned you into a human lie detector. It made you hyper-aware of micro-expressions, tone shifts, the millisecond delay before someone answers. You became dangerous because you became observant. They don't know that. They think they're calling you into the spotlight. But you see the interrogation room behind the curtain. You see the subtle test, the invisible pressure, the psychological chessboard being laid beneath your feet. They want to know, are you still soft enough to control? Are you still insecure enough to manipulate? Are you still desperate enough to comply? They don't realize the hunger left your body a long time ago. Pain starved it out of you. You used to want acceptance. Now you want alignment. You used to want applause. Now you want leverage. That shift is terrifying to people who survive on hierarchy, because you're no longer trying to climb the ladder. You're building your own structure. And here's the paradox that makes their stomach twist. You still radiate warmth. You still smile. You still speak with calm intensity. But underneath that warmth is steel. Underneath that smile is strategy. Underneath that calm is something ancient. You became both the angel and the demon because life forced you to negotiate with both. You know how to forgive, but you also know how to detach without explanation. You know how to love deeply, but you also know how to disappear without a trace. You know how to show mercy, but you also know when to become consequence. That duality makes you untouchable. People fear monsters, but they are confused by angels who understand darkness. They don't know where to place you, and humans panic when they can't categorize something. So they call your name again, a little louder, a little more publicly, because if they can define you in front of others, they can shrink you. If they can frame you, they can contain you. Watch closely. They might compliment you excessively, inflate your ego, put you on a pedestal. That's not admiration. That's isolation. If they can elevate you too fast, they can justify tearing you down later. But you've learned something ruthless. You don't rise because they lift you. You rise because you built wings in private. So when they call you forward, you don't glow brighter. You glow steadier. Steady unnerves people more than brilliance. Brilliance is explosive. It burns out. Steady is controlled. It endures. You became steady through suffering. Every betrayal hardened your boundaries. Every abandonment strengthened your self-trust. Every moment you were misunderstood forced you to understand yourself deeper. And now your self-awareness is lethal. Because a person who knows themselves cannot be gaslit. A person who understands their shadow cannot be shamed. A person who has embraced their darkness cannot be blackmailed by it. They're calling your name because they sense you're no longer afraid of being misunderstood. And when someone isn't afraid of social exile, they become uncontrollable. Think about it. The system runs on fear of rejection, fear of losing status, fear of looking crazy, fear of standing alone. You already stood alone. You survived it. You adapted to it. You found power in it. So what leverage do they have left? That's why your name tastes different when they say it. There's tension in it now. Curiosity mixed with caution. They're not celebrating you. They're investigating you. And the most intoxicating part, you don't flinch. Old you would have over-explained, smiled too much, laughed nervously, tried to reassure them that you're still the same, but you're not the same. You're more integrated. You've merged the wounded child with the calculating adult. You've merged empathy with boundaries. You've merged ambition with detachment. You no longer swing between extremes. You contain them. And containment is terrifying, because people rely on predictability to feel safe. They need to know how you'll react so they can script their moves. But you respond based on principle, not emotion, and principle cannot be baited. They might try to provoke you, drop subtle insults, challenge your authority, question your credibility. They're fishing, hoping the old reactive version of you jumps out and proves you're still unstable. But you've learned the ultimate power move. Silence. Not passive silence, controlled silence. The kind that forces the other person to fill the void. The kind that makes them second-guess their own strategy. The kind that makes them reveal more than they intended. You've become comfortable in that void because you've lived there before. You've sat in rooms where no one defended you. You've endured moments where no one validated you. You've survived nights where your only ally was your own resilience. So when they call your name now, you don't tremble. You assess. You measure the energy. You calculate the motive. And then you decide. That's the difference. You decide. Not from ego, not from insecurity, but from clarity. And clarity is a weapon. You are no longer seeking permission to exist loudly. You exist precisely, intentionally, strategically. They're calling your name because something about you feels irreversible. You don't seem moldable anymore. You don't seem persuadable in the same way. You don't seem hungry for validation. You seem anchored. And anchored people can't be dragged easily. So here's the part that will make your pulse spike. When they call your name again, don't rush. Let the pause stretch. Let the air thicken. Make them wonder what version of you will respond. The compassionate one or the cold one? The collaborator or the competitor? Keep them guessing, not to manipulate, but to protect your leverage. Because unpredictability, when rooted in self-control, is dominance. And dominance doesn't need volume. It needs composure. They thought calling your name would expose you. They don't realize it revealed them. It revealed who feels threatened, who feels curious, who feels insecure, who feels inspired. When your name moves through a room, it acts like a mirror. People project onto it. Admiration, jealousy, fear, desire, and you. You simply stand there, integrated, unapologetic, evolved. They're calling your name because they sense transformation. But transformation isn't soft. It's violent. It's painful. It's isolating. And you survived all three. So the next time your name echoes in a room thick with tension, don't mistake it for praise. And don't mistake it for danger either. See it for what it truly is. Recognition of power. Not the loud kind, the controlled kind, the kind forged in darkness. The kind that doesn't need applause. The kind that makes people lower their voice when they say your name. And that's something way more dangerous than praise. Stay still. Feel the weight of it again. Your name. It's moving differently now. Not like gossip, not like admiration, like a signal, like a flare shot into the night sky, and every predator in the forest just lifted its head. That's what you are to them now, a signal, something that changed the ecosystem. You don't even realize how much you altered the atmosphere just by refusing to shrink, by refusing to react, by refusing to bleed in public the way you used to. They were comfortable when you were transparent in your pain. When your wounds were visible, they knew where to press. They knew which insecurities to weaponize. They knew how to make you doubt yourself just enough to stay manageable. But you closed the door. You stopped explaining your trauma. You stopped announcing your next move. You stopped revealing how much something hurt. And that silence, it forced them to confront their own reflection, because when you don't react, people project. They assume you're plotting. They assume you're judging. They assume you're calculating revenge. Half the time, you're just evolving. But evolution looks like strategy to people who never grow. You used to be emotional in a way that made you readable, that made you human in the most fragile sense. Your joy was obvious. Your anger was obvious. Your disappointment was obvious. Now, you've mastered containment, not suppression, containment. There's a difference. Suppression rots you from the inside. Containment strengthens you from within. You still feel everything. You just don't leak it. And that makes you terrifying. Because when someone cannot read your emotional state, they cannot predict your threshold. They don't know how far they can push you. They don't know what you'll tolerate. They don't know what line will trigger consequence. So they test gently, calling your name in different tones, playful, formal, mocking, admiring. Each variation is a probe, and you feel every one of them. You see how their shoulders shift when they say it. You see how their eyes flicker to others in the room to measure reaction. You see the subtle hunger behind the smile. They want to see if you'll flinch, if you'll soften, if you'll overcompensate. But you don't, because something fundamental inside you snapped the day you realized this truth. You are not required to be digestible. Read that again inside your skull. You're not required to be easy to consume. You're not required to be consistently pleasant. You're not required to shrink your intensity so insecure minds can breathe comfortably. You spent years doing that. And what did it get you? Underestimated, overused, underappreciated. Now the pendulum has swung. Now your energy enters first. Now your presence lingers after you leave. Now your silence is louder than most people's speeches. That shift is destabilizing for anyone who relied on your self-doubt to feel superior. And here's the part that will make your chest tighten. You don't even need to threaten anyone. You don't need to announce dominance. You don't need to posture. Your self-control is enough. Self-control is the ultimate flex. It says, I could react. I choose not to. It says, I see the game. I'm not playing it. It says, I know my power. I don't need you to confirm it. That level of inner authority is rare. And rare things are either worshipped or hunted, sometimes both. They're calling your name because they haven't decided which one you are yet. Are you a symbol or a liability? Are you someone to align with or someone to neutralize? That uncertainty is delicious. You used to be the one uncertain. You used to question your worth. You used to replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. Now they're replaying you, your expressions, your responses, your silence. You became the variable in their equation, and variables create anxiety. But here's where it gets darker. The power you feel right now. It's intoxicating. Be careful. Because the same unpredictability that protects you can isolate you. The same composure that makes you formidable can make you distant. You walk a thin line now, between controlled and cold, between strategic and cynical, between integrated and detached. This is the duality you must master. You are both the saint and the psychopath. The saint in you wants peace, harmony, mutual growth. The psychopath in you understands leverage, power dynamics, consequences. Neither side is evil. Both are necessary. The saint keeps you human. The psychopath keeps you safe. If you lean too far into light, you become naive again. If you lean too far into darkness, you become empty. The magic is in integration, in knowing when to extend grace and when to withdraw access. Because access to you is a privilege now, not a default. They're calling your name because access to you feels scarce. Scarcity increases value. You stopped being constantly available, emotionally, mentally, energetically, and suddenly people are more aware of you. The room feels your absence when you disengage. That's power. Not loud power. Not chaotic power. Subtle power. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that makes others adjust their behavior around you. Have you noticed? They speak slightly more carefully. They joke slightly less recklessly. They measure their words slightly more when you're present. That's not coincidence. That's calibration. You forced recalibration by evolving. And evolution always disrupts hierarchy. So yes, they're calling your name. But it's not to celebrate you. It's to gauge you. To see if you've become something they can no longer dominate. And the answer, you have. But here's the final twist. You don't need to crush anyone. You don't need revenge. You don't need to expose every hidden motive. Your growth is exposure enough. Your calm is confrontation enough. Your success is revenge enough. When they call your name now, let it echo. Let it linger. Let it hang in the air like a question mark. Freeze. Don't blink. Don't breathe too loud. Feel that tremor in the air. That's not fear coming from you. That's the world realizing it just lost control. 911 got called because you stopped caring. Not because you screamed. Not because you threatened. Not because you fought. Because you went quiet. Because you detached. Because one day you just looked at the chaos, the disrespect, the manipulation, the betrayal, and you felt nothing. And that's when they started shaking. You see, they were prepared for your anger. They had shields ready for your tears. They knew how to handle your passion, your loyalty, your forgiveness. But they had no protocol for your indifference. You used to be predictable. You used to react. You used to explain yourself. Now, you stare through people like they're ghosts in your peripheral vision, and that terrifies them. Because when you cared, you were controllable. When you cared, you were reachable. When you cared, you were human in a way that made you vulnerable. But when you stopped caring, you became something else. Something colder. Something sharper. Something that smiles like an angel but calculates like a psychopath. They don't know which version they're dealing with anymore. Are you the saint who forgives? Or the demon who simply observes and waits? That duality is killing them. They want to label you, good or bad, nice or evil, victim or villain. But you don't fit into their little psychological boxes anymore. You evolved. Pain did that to you. Remember when you used to lose sleep over what they thought? When you'd replay conversations in your head? When you'd twist yourself into knots trying to be understood? That was the old you, the version that still believed love was enough. That effort was enough. That loyalty was enough. But pain taught you something darker. Pain taught you that attachment is leverage. Pain taught you that the one who cares the least controls the room. And when you finally understood that, you let go. Not loudly, not dramatically. You just stopped. Stopped explaining. Stopped chasing. Stopped defending. Stopped needing. And suddenly the energy shifted. They felt it immediately. The texts got longer. The calls got more desperate. The rumors got louder. Because when you stopped caring, you stopped feeding their power. And people panic when the supply runs dry. That's when 911 gets called. Not literally, psychologically, emotionally, energetically. sirens in their chest. What happened to you? Why are you acting different? Are you okay? Oh, you're more than okay. You're free. And freedom looks dangerous to people who were benefiting from your chains. They mistook your kindness for weakness. They mistook your empathy for dependency. They mistook your heart for a leash. And now that leash is gone. Now you move differently. You speak less, but mean more. You smile, but it doesn't reveal your thoughts. You're calm in situations that used to break you. That calm, it's not peace, it's power. Because here's the paradox they can't comprehend. You're softer than ever, and more ruthless than ever. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. And that makes you untouchable. When someone insults you now, you don't flinch. When someone leaves, you don't chase. When someone tries to provoke you, you watch them burn themselves out. You became the storm that doesn't announce itself. The blade that doesn't threaten. It just cuts. They're shaking because they lost the emotional remote control. You used to jump when they pressed a button. Now, the batteries are dead. And the scariest part, you didn't stop caring because you turned evil. You stopped caring because you healed. But healing has a dark side nobody talks about. It makes you selective. It makes you ruthless with your time. It makes you allergic to disrespect. It makes you capable of walking away without closure. And people who rely on your emotional reactions, they feel like the ground just dropped beneath them. You see, chaos needs participation. Drama needs response. Manipulation needs emotion. And you opted out. That's the ultimate plot twist. You didn't explode. You evaporated. You became the version of yourself that operates in silence. The version that observes patterns instead of excusing them. The version that understands this brutal truth. If they feared losing you, they would have treated you like you were rare. Now they're realizing you are. And you're not as available as you used to be. You walk into rooms and say less. But your presence feels heavier. Not because you're angry, because you're detached. Detachment is misunderstood. They think it means you don't feel. Oh, you feel everything. You just don't react to everything. That's evolution. That's what pain does when it doesn't break you. It sharpens you. It carves away the naive layers. It strips off the desperation. It burns off the need to be chosen. Now, you choose. You decide. You evaluate. And that shift is terrifying. Because you used to beg for connection. Now connection has to qualify for you. That's when the sirens start screaming in their subconscious. We're losing access. We can't read them anymore. They don't need us. Exactly. You don't. And needing nothing is a superpower. It turns you into a paradox. You can love deeply, but walk away instantly. You can forgive, but never forget the pattern. You can smile warmly, while mentally noting exits. You became unpredictable, and unpredictability, that's dominance. They can't manipulate what they can't anticipate. They can't control what doesn't crave approval. They can't threaten someone who already detached from the outcome. You stopped caring about being misunderstood. You stopped caring about proving your worth. You stopped caring about staying where you weren't valued. And suddenly, the people who dismissed you are trying to diagnose you. What happened to you? Pain happened. Growth happened. Awareness happened. You realized that over-explaining is a trauma response. You realized that chasing is a fear of abandonment. You realized that shrinking is self-betrayal. And once you saw that, You refused to participate in your own disrespect. That's when they started shaking, because you became the villain in their story. And here's the delicious irony. Villains don't ask for permission. Villains don't apologize for evolving. Villains don't cry when the crowd turns against them. They adjust. They adapt. They advance. You became the person they can't guilt trip. The person who doesn't respond to breadcrumbs. The person who won't lower standards for familiarity. And that scares them more than any outburst ever could, because silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is cruel. They don't know if you're planning. They don't know if you're replacing them. They don't know if you ever cared at all. You did. You cared too much. That's why this version of you had to be born, the one forged in disappointment, the one baptized in betrayal, the one who understands that not everyone deserves access to your depth. You're not cold, you're calibrated. You're not heartless, you're selective. You're not cruel, you're done overextending. And the moment you stopped caring about the opinions of people who never protected your peace, that's when the power flipped. 911 got called because they felt the shift. They felt the loss of influence. They felt the absence of your emotional labor. And now they're shaking. Not because you're loud, but because you're silent. Not because you're chasing, but because you're walking. Not because you're desperate, but because you're detached. And detachment is lethal in a world addicted to reaction. So let them panic. Let them speculate. Let them try to decode you. You're not here to be understood anymore. You're here to evolve. You're here to become the kind of presence that doesn't beg to stay. The kind of energy that doesn't need validation. The kind of force that can love like an angel and leave like a demon. That's the duality. That's the transformation. That's why they're shaking. Because the version of you they controlled is dead. And the one standing here now doesn't care who calls for help. You already saved yourself. Listen closely. That ringing you hear in the distance, that's not fear in your chest. That's withdrawal in theirs. They're detoxing from you, from your reassurance, from your overgiving, from your constant emotional CPR. You used to resuscitate every dying connection. You used to shock dead conversations back to life. You used to drag relationships on life support because you couldn't stand the idea of being the one who gave up. But now, you pulled the plug, calmly, without tears, without speeches, without a goodbye that gave them closure. And that silence is louder than any explosion you could have caused. Because when you stopped caring, you didn't just change behavior. You changed identity. You became the person who doesn't need to win the argument. You became the person who doesn't need the last word. You became the person who can walk away mid-sentence and sleep like a baby. Do you understand how psychologically violent that is to someone who fed off your reactions? They're used to tugging the string and watching you dance. Now they're pulling, and nothing moves. You're not cold. You're sovereign. There's a difference. Coldness is numbness. Sovereignty is control. And you're in control now. That's what terrifies them. Because control used to be external. It used to belong to their approval, their mood, their validation, their attention. Now it belongs to you. And people don't call 911 when someone is screaming. They call when something feels unstable, unpredictable, uncontainable. That's you. You used to be the hero in their narrative, the dependable one, the forgiving one, the always there one. Now you're the plot twist. Now you're the anomaly. Now you're the glitch in their psychological matrix. They thought they had you figured out. Oh, they'll come back. Oh, they'll apologize first. Oh, they care too much to leave. But something inside you snapped quietly, not in anger, in clarity. You realized that caring without boundaries is self-destruction. You realized that empathy without discernment is self-betrayal. You realized that loving people who enjoy misunderstanding you is voluntary suffering. And once you saw that, you couldn't unsee it. That's the thing about evolution. It ruins your tolerance for chaos. You outgrew environments that once defined you. You outgrew conversations that once consumed you. You outgrew people who only felt powerful when you felt small. And growth is violent, not outwardly, internally. It kills old versions of you, the desperate one, the anxious one, the one who feared abandonment so much that you abandoned yourself first. That version died, and in its place, something dangerous was born. You, unattached, unapologetic, unbothered. You don't react the same. You don't chase the same. You don't beg the same. You don't even love the same. Because now your love has standards. Now your presence has prerequisites. Now your energy has a price, and not everyone can afford it. That's why they're shaking. They're not used to being evaluated by you. They're used to you auditioning for them. Now the roles reversed. Now they feel the tension. Now they feel the uncertainty. Now they feel what you used to feel. And they don't like it. It's uncomfortable not knowing where you stand with someone who used to overshare their entire heart. It's terrifying not having access to someone who once made themselves emotionally transparent. You became private, and privacy feels like power, because mystery forces respect. You don't explain your moves anymore. You execute them. You don't announce your exit. You take it. You don't threaten distance. You create it. And the paradox? You're actually softer now. But softer doesn't mean submissive. You feel deeply. You just refuse to bleed for people who wouldn't bandage you. You still care, but selectively, strategically, intentionally. You're not heartless. You're healed. And healing makes you dangerous to anyone who benefited from your wounds. Because wounded you was easier to manipulate. Wounded you tolerated crumbs. Wounded you confused chaos with passion. Wounded you thought inconsistency was excitement. Healed you sees through everything. The micro-expressions, the tone shifts, the subtle disrespect disguised as jokes, the half-efforts disguised as I'm trying. You see it all, and you don't confront it. You log it, you adjust, you detach, and that quiet withdrawal feels like an earthquake to people who never thought you'd leave. You're not angry, you're done, and done is colder than rage. Rage can be negotiated, done is final. When you stopped caring about being chosen, you started choosing yourself. When you stopped caring about being liked, you started being respected. When you stopped caring about losing people, you stopped losing yourself. That's the shift. That's the siren. They're shaking because the supply is gone. No more endless understanding. No more overextended empathy. No more bending your boundaries to keep peace. You became the storm that doesn't argue with the wind. You became the fire that doesn't beg for oxygen. You became the shadow that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. And unpredictability, it's intoxicating. They don't know if you'll stay. They don't know if you'll go. They don't know if you even care at all. And the truth? You care about yourself more than you care about maintaining illusions. That's growth. That's evolution through pain. You didn't become this way overnight. You were built here. layer by layer, disappointment by disappointment, betrayal by betrayal. Every time you forgave too quickly, every time you accepted less than you deserved, every time you silenced your intuition, you were learning, and now you trust that intuition more than anyone's promises. You don't need reassurance. You observe behavior. You don't need words. You measure consistency. You don't need to argue. You decide silently. That's the new you. Angel face, demon boundaries, saint-level compassion, psychopath-level detachment. And they can't reconcile it. They want you soft and reactive. You're soft and ruthless. They want you emotional and expressive. You're emotional and controlled. They want you predictable. You're strategic. And strategy looks scary to people who relied on your chaos. You stopped caring about losing people who were never scared of losing you. You stopped fighting for seats at tables where your name was never protected. You stopped explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. And now, you walk differently. You move differently. You think differently. You love differently. You're not here to prove anything anymore. You're here to experience life without self-betrayal. You're here to build without begging. You're here to connect without shrinking. You're here to exist without apologizing. And that level of self-containment, it radiates. People feel it before you even speak. They sense the shift. They sense that you're no longer available for emotional exploitation. They sense that you won't overextend just to maintain access. They sense that if they mess up now, you'll leave. No speeches, no scenes, no second chances disguised as understanding. And that possibility, that finality, that's why they're shaking. Because the old you would have stayed. The new you evaluates. And once you evaluate someone out, there's no appeal process, no emergency hotline, no 911, just silence and peace and growth. You stopped caring about being everyone's safe place. You became your own. You stopped rescuing others from the consequences of their behavior. You let them sit with it. You let them wonder. You let them feel the absence. And absence is a brutal teacher. It teaches people your value in ways presence never could. But here's the part they don't understand. You didn't stop caring because you hate them. You stopped caring because you love yourself. And self-love, when it's real, is terrifying. It has teeth. It has boundaries. It has exit plans. You can still laugh, still connect, still love deeply. But now, you can also leave without hesitation. That's the duality. That's the power. That's the evolution. You're no longer driven by fear of abandonment. You're driven by alignment. And if something feels off, you don't argue with it. You adjust. So let them shake. Let them call for help. Let them try to decode the silence. You're not malfunctioning. You upgraded. And the version of you that stopped caring about what drains you, that version is unstoppable. Because when you need nothing, you can build anything. When you fear nothing, you can become everything. And the most dangerous person in any room is the one who has nothing left to prove. That's you now. Unbothered, unattached, uncontainable. Stand still. Feel how quiet it is around you now. No chaos pulling at your sleeves. No emotional static buzzing in your ears. No desperate need to fix what keeps breaking. That's silence. That's what power sounds like when it's not begging to be heard. They're still shaking. Not because you attacked. Not because you exposed them. Not because you destroyed anything. But because you withdrew your investment. And when an investor pulls out, companies collapse. You were the emotional capital. You were the stability. You were the oxygen in rooms full of smoke. And when you stopped caring, you stopped ventilating environments that were suffocating you. Do you understand the magnitude of that? You didn't explode. You didn't seek revenge. You didn't broadcast your transformation. You simply shifted your standards internally. And that internal shift rewrote the external dynamic. Now people look at you differently. They sense a wall. But it's not a wall. It's a filter. You're not closed. You're selective. You're not bitter. You're calibrated. Before, you'd hand your heart to anyone who smiled convincingly. Now, access is earned. Trust is slow. Energy is protected. And protection feels hostile to people who are used to unlimited entry. They're panicking because they lost the emotional playground they used to roam freely in. You used to explain your silence. Now you let it speak. You used to clarify misunderstandings. Now you let people misunderstand and move accordingly. You used to chase clarity. Now you observe confusion and decide if it's worth your time. That shift, it's predatory in the best way. You became the one who hunts alignment instead of begging for acceptance. And here's the beautiful, terrifying paradox. You are kinder now, but you are less tolerant. You are deeper now, but you are less available. You are more loving, but you are less forgiving of patterns. Because you finally understood something most people never grasp. You can have compassion without self-sacrifice. You can have empathy without self-erasure. You can have patience without self-abandonment. And once that realization hits, you can't go back. They want the old you, the version that over-explained, the version that gave infinite chances, the version that felt guilty for setting boundaries. But that version died in silence, buried under self-respect, coffined by clarity. You're not interested in being the bigger person anymore, if it means shrinking yourself. You're not interested in keeping peace if it costs your nervous system stability. You're not interested in proving loyalty to people who treat you like an option. And that's what makes you dangerous. You became emotionally disciplined. That's scarier than emotional volatility. Anyone can explode. Few can detach. Few can sit across from disrespect and feel nothing but confirmation. Few can watch someone reveal their true colors and respond with a quiet mental note instead of a meltdown. That's mastery. And mastery makes observers uncomfortable, because now they can't predict your breaking point. They can't manipulate your triggers. They can't weaponize your affection. You no longer bleed publicly. You process privately. You analyze silently. You adjust strategically. And when you leave, you don't slam doors. You lock them gently, forever. That's the part that keeps them up at night. You don't come back the same way. When you forgive now, it's conditional. When you reconnect, it's cautious. When you love, it's powerful, but not desperate. You're no longer afraid of endings. You understand that endings create space, and space invites evolution. You used to cling to potential. Now you evaluate reality. You used to romanticize effort. Now you measure consistency. You used to hope people would change. Now you accept them exactly as they are and move accordingly. That acceptance, it feels like cruelty to those who benefited from your optimism, because optimism kept you hooked. Now clarity keeps you free. They're shaking because they can feel your independence, and independence is intimidating, especially when it's quiet. You don't post about it. You don't announce it. You don't dramatize it. You simply embody it. You walk into rooms with less need, less urgency, Less hunger for validation and more hunger for peace. That's evolution. Pain stripped you. Disappointment refined you. Silence rebuilt you. You learned that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. It's the one who can walk away without trembling.